So what I've done is, I haven't invented anything new. What I've done is I've used historical references, experimental archaeology, past archaeological finds, past journals, ledgers, and things of that nature to put together a system of wilderness living, if that's bushcraft, if that's what you want to call it. That's very easy to understand, very easy to remember, and it kind of tells you what the basics are of the things you need. And really, one of the things that we struggle with nowadays, I think, in the community is everybody wants to know what kit should I carry, and everybody wants to know kit, and there's so much kit around here that you could, outfit an army with the kit in this place. So what I want you to understand is I want to break things down a little bit to a more basic and essential level, so that you understand that primitive peoples and ancient cultures didn't need all the frivolous things that we need today. And I'm not saying that we should be making fire with sticks and we should be gutting deer with rocks. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if we understand the categories of items that were important to these people, and we can match that to modern or natural materials, then we're 5 steps ahead of the game. Because if you figure they didn't need it, why do we need it? All right, so let's start off real quick with a discussion about the 5 C's and just step back in time about 5,000 years and look at Oats of the Iceman. Is everybody familiar with Oats of the Iceman? Okay, for those of you that aren't raising your hand, Oats of the Iceman was a nomadic traveler, possibly hunter-gatherer, possibly farmer on the move to somewhere else, who was traveling alone in the Alps on the border of, I believe it was Italy and Austria, and he was killed by an arrow by someone else. But the fact that he was traveling alone, presumably, and the fact that he was found mummified 5,000 years later with all of his goods that he was carrying intact, gives us a window into what was important to that lone traveler for his livelihood, his survival, and his whatever he had to do to live over the course of his journey. And by looking at that, we can learn a lot. And what I've done is I've looked at that, and then I've looked at things like what did the pioneers of the 18th century, the Spanish explorers of the 17th century, and peoples like that were also nomadic in nature because they were traveling over great distances. People like the Lewis and Clark expedition, what did they take with them? And I've looked at all of these things and kind of assimilated them into a database of sorts to break things down into categories of items that they felt were the most important. And it also relates back to, if you look at trade ledgers from the late 1700s to early 1800s in America, the items that were first traded to native people. American history gives us a lot closer window to things than European history because, let's face it, Europe was way ahead of the Americans. They had the Vikings had foot and steel technology in the 10th century. But yet in the 16th century, when first European contact came to the Americas, they were in the Stone Age. And that's a huge span of time that Europe was so far ahead of the Americas with their material culture.